welcome to Sequel to Jurassic Park, One Minute at a Time. I'm Brad. And today we're not here to discuss A Minute of the Lost World. We talked about and discussed it. We've had some exciting news come out this last week, and it would have been too much to put on the front of the weekly episode, so we decided to have a separate show covering the Ironhead Studios reveals from Brazil Comic-Con and two of the latest teaser trailers, and the official trailer for Fallen Kingdom.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to release this as one episode, and because Dieter's still wandering lost in the forest, we can wait until next week to see his demise. First up, Dave, we got some reveals out of Brazil Comic-Con that we're hoping to see from Ironhead Studios.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm safe to say I'm not disappointed at all.
Uh-huh. Oh no, it looks great.
Yep, it is, of course. The whole lot's in 1/10 scale. You've got the T-Rex herself on top of the car, like we predicted, and it's the whole diorama set out in the scene where Grant's out of the car, he's waving the flare, and she looks up at him and bellows. As we said last week, we've seen the kids under the back of the car screaming, and you've got Malcolm just getting out, about to light the flare. So they've definitely picked an iconic shot and an iconic sequence from the first movie.
Yeah, I will say that out of the two adults here, Grant looks better than Malcolm. I think Grant looks spot on. He looks like he's supposed to be Grant. Whereas Malcolm, the facial features seem almost kind of cartoonish in a way.
Yeah.
Kind of seem like a caricature of Goldblum, you know?
Yeah, and we sort of been discussing this the last couple of weeks as we've seen reveals or teasers at what was coming, and how long have they been working on it to get the face sculpts and all that down packed. Now, since this reveal, I don't feel they're sort of like the Hot Toys quality in sort of look. They're sort of more of that. They're sort of more like an artist's interpretation put to a statue. If that sounds right. The face sculpt, especially on Malcolm's, not 100%, but it's sort of, I don't feel it needs to be. Yes, it's a licensed product, and licensed products should always go for as accurate as they can. But you can see, he's standing there beside the car. You know it's Malcolm. There's there's a couple of photos here of Malcolm by himself out behind the car as well, as if the Rex was about to start chasing him.
I will say that I will give him some leeway on that, only because Jeff Goldblum himself has a very caricaturized face. He has almost kind of exaggerated features of a human being. I mean, not to say that he looks funny, but I'll say it. He looks funny. Jeff Goldblum looks funny.
That's exactly why they got him to be aliens and that in his earlier movies. Like, he's a unique looking man.
But I will say that the mud, and I know I talked about this last week, but the mud effects that you see painted on Malcolm's harness boots in this one shot here. These pictures, by the way, are all by Instagram member Jurassic 4.4.
Mm-hmm.
Jurassic Park 4.4. I'm sorry. The mud effects on the boots are still spot on. I mean, they look like real boots. They just kind of shrunk down and stuck on the statue's feet.
Yeah. Yep. And that mud effects everywhere. Like there's mud on the wheels of the Explorer 5 at the rear. And of course, as we've seen last week with the upside down Explorer, all up the sides of it, sort of blotting out the Jurassic logo on the side of the car. The mud on the track in the middle, and the mud on the Tyrannosaurus foot as well.
Yeah, and I just noticed that the rear driver's side wheel has already been bitten off. It's just the basic. It's just the rim sitting on there. There's no tire.
Yeah.
And I just noticed that the frame, the bottom of the frame, is bending around the bottom of the Rex's foot as she steps on it.
Yep. Which is a nice little
touch.
Then
we also have a close-up picture here by, again, Jurassic Park 4.4 of Lex screaming in the car, and it looks so good. I mean, it even has the little blood scrape on her right shoulder blade or right shoulder.
Yeah, it's just some of the little detail like that.
Hmm.
I love how they've sort of gone for the. Um, I can only say sort of to keep the price down. You've got the main road that the whole thing sits on, and it sort of finishes right at the back of the car. There's no.
Hmm.
You couldn't have. Malcolm's like in this photo. He's standing around the back of the car, but he's on his own base plate, not on part of the diorama. But
Yeah.
it's also interesting. You're looking behind too, the nice gentle curve that's in the fence
Hmm.
and in the retaining wall. When I seen these on Facebook the other day, I did make the comment about accuracy and okay, the tyre should have been in a teeth from the back of that Explorer, and there should have been more than just the one hole in the fence. But that's nitpicking.
Hmm.
So definitely love everything I'm seeing here from their release.
Yeah.
Um,
And looking at the shot here that, again, just Part 4.4 guy here of the back of the Explorer 5, where me and Malcolm is standing behind the door.
yep.
If I look closely, it almost looks like he has hinges on the door. I wonder if the door hinges will be able to open and close on at least Explorer 5.
Well, it being the upright one and not damaged, I'm sure if anyone was looking at getting anything from this set, it would be the Explorer.
Hmm.
Because we only had this past week too, just before the official trailer drop, Chronicle put out a shot of box art for their upcoming piece, which had sort of the rusty looking Explorer bonnet on it. So it looks like they're going for some sort type of Explorer collectible as well. But
Hmm.
personally, I'd love the whole diorama, but I think one of the Explorers would be, if I could only afford one piece, would be the Explorer.
Definitely. I was thinking the same exact thing.
Yeah.
I mean, I have plenty of T-Rexes in my collection. I mean, okay, it's a great T-Rex, but I really don't need another. But I have no vehicles in my Jurassic Park collection at all.
Not to
And
this
I've
quality.
always wanted the Explorer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Actually, I lie. I have the remote control Lost World Mercedes, but that's badly damaged and all smashed up.
Oh.
And I'd love to have like a real Explorer in my collection. That'd be so cool.
Yeah. Yep. That's exactly right. Like even just the rear fence section and tour road, like the base, that you could put all your Jurassic Park Kenner figures on. Like
Hmm.
individually, the pieces you could use in other ways as well, or the whole lot. Now, because I'm still wondering what this is all going to cost.
Me too. And Iron Studios hasn't released any pricing yet. They promised they would at some time soon here, as well as shipping to United States. They
Yeah.
mentioned they would bring that up soon.
Yeah, because the yeah, even stores like international stores that sort of deal with all this sort of stuff haven't got word of anything either.
No.
And normally they'll put pre-orders up as soon as something's revealed at a convention and adjust the prices accordingly later. But
Hmm.
I haven't even seen. I don't know if there's just speculation or doubt on final numbers, if it's going to be a limited release or, which I hope it isn't, because that adds to more price and
Yeah.
tougher to get.
Yeah, exclusivity always ups the price a lot, and I really hope that's not done to us. But fortunately, looking at Iron Studios' other products, they haven't done that with Star Wars, so I don't think they'll do that with Jurassic Park.
hmm Good to know. And also, we had some photos down there as well. They had a full-size 1/1 Explorer reproduction down there that people were getting photos taken with.
Hmm.
And
As well as, yeah, T-Rex.
yeah,
They have a T-Rex.
they got a T-Rex. Sort of half coming out of a jungle backdrop, so they didn't have to make the whole thing, but
Yeah.
very effective. And there was some photos coming out of some fans down there that got Bayona and Colin to pose with it as well, which would have been exceptional, because they sort of, as far as we know, it was only that last week where they've turned around and said, hey, we're heading down, so people wouldn't have gone there knowing that Colin and J.A. would have been there, which would have been a nice little surprise, and they got to see the trailer while they were down there.
Yeah.
before everyone else.
They got to see the trailer a little earlier than the rest of us did, which is really cool for them.
Yep. And it's just great of Universal too, sort of, I'd assume because Bayona's in charge of the project here, that they've sort of put a lot more money and time and effort into the local convention from where he's from. I did see a lot of grumbles in various fan groups that they wished stateside they got stuff like this, but there's time. We'll see what happens at SDCC. That normally, well, Jurassic wasn't there last year or the year before, so see what comes out of that.
Wasn't.
Not that
I will
helps
say
80% of the
there's
country.
something we reported previously that we have to make a amendment on.
Yep.
Is that previously we reported that these Iron Studio the diorama would not connect together. But looking at these photos, I'm not sure if they connect together, but they definitely do go together, and they kind of like line up in a certain way to make them into one single diorama.
Yeah, my thinking with that was the actual character stands, but it might have been they might have been referring to the entire diorama.
Yeah.
Because in the road you can clearly see it's 3 pieces, but you can't really see those joins that much in the fence. And it's just a shame that middle section sort of got such a tight join in the middle. I don't know. I'm not a real fan of the way the tour road looks like it's 2 pieces joined together in the middle. I'm hoping that's just production thing and it could be fixed in the final work, but again, these are minute nitpicks. The only thing that's going to stop me from buying this is the price.
Yeah, pretty much.
And even then, that might not stop me from buying it.
If they have a payment plan like Chronicle does, that would be really helpful, and I'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, that's it. Give me 8 to 10 months to pay it off.
Exactly.
Go into my Christmas tree for next year. And even Rexy herself, like we haven't really talked about the Rex either. And it's one of those tough things in the collector world. You're always sort of trying to get the new and best representation of a character or a figure. And in the past, it's sort of okay. There's only one or no companies. It's just customizers doing stuff, and you sort of get one you're really happy with and keep it. But now, when you start to get stuff in the spotlight and other companies come on and start to do it, like I got the Breakout Rex, and now I'll try and see if I could fit her in between the gap in these wires. I don't think the scale would be way off anyway, but it's just one of those things, because yes, I'm quite happy with the Breakout Rex as it is. It's not financially viable to try and sell it at this point now that this has been announced, but it's a great looking sculpt and it's a great looking paint job on her. They've done a good job with it. And I don't think the ferns will come with it that are behind the fence.
Yeah, no, it's going to come with its own foliage.
Oh, okay.
It's not going to actually come with the fake planter ferns that we see in the photos.
I was nearly going to say the black sort of felt wall that's set up behind it is reminiscent of the backdrop in the studio when they filmed it, that you can see in some lightning flashes. They just got to paint some hazy mountains on it. But that's the Ironhead revealed from last Wednesday, I believe. David, anything else you want to bring up before we move on?
Yeah, I think we pretty much covered that.
We'll report with anything else that comes on. There's going to be a bit of a lull at the moment for Christmas and the holidays, so possibly late January, early February we should have more information if they haven't released the prices earlier, which they should have. Well, they should do anyway.
Do you remember the first time you saw a dinosaur?
For kids who grow up loving dinosaurs, the Jurassic movies are really the vehicle for them to see their dreams realized.
You got that?
It was awesome.
The Jurassic movies have always been suspenseful and exciting. We're telling the next chapter.
This story takes dinosaurs and takes Jurassic where it's never gone before.
We're literally blowing up the island.
That's the scariest thing I've ever done. In this movie, we have a new director, Juan Antonio Bayona. I love playing with suspense. I like intensity, and I love to make the audience feel the total experience.
He's genius when it comes to frightening people.
It's the T-Rex. It's the T-Rex.
No, it's not T-Rex.
Be careful. There's dinosaurs everywhere and they're flipping out and killing people. Let's go.
It was important to us that the story be balanced on the characters, some of whom we know and some of whom we're just meeting.
Jeff Goldblum, not gonna lie, that's pretty awesome.
Here I am talking about dinosaurs again.
In this Jurassic world, you will see more dinosaurs than you've ever seen before.
In this movie, we are dealing with real animatronic dinosaurs.
It looks like a real dinosaur. I couldn't help but freak out the entire time.
The challenge of making a sequel is finding the right balance between what people are expecting and what people will be surprised by.
Run! Run!
This movie is different. It's going to be intense and pretty spectacular.
That was my best acting.
It's like nothing you've ever seen before.
Yeah, man, it's Jurassic. This is gonna be awesome.
Alright, moving on. Last week we sort of talked about the two little teasers we got with the Owen and the Raptor, and the Run trailer, or the Run teaser we got as well, which we sort of presumed were going to be mainly footage from the upcoming trailers. But we got this really nice behind-the-scenes trailer first, and I've only noticed it. Star Wars has just done it, and Pacific Rim 2 Uprising has done it as well, where you've got sort of the trailer merged with this behind-the-scenes actors sort of talking about what they're doing on set. Video, like, behind-the-scenes of stuff on the set. And it's just, I really love it because you can see the people, the actors having fun on the set between cuts or between takes. In this case, the animatronics, operating them, making them, the gyrospheres on their arms. Like, you get to really see how this stuff's done, and it's not just all in a computer.
Man, this was a really great kind of teaser, and I think that a lot of fans have started to agree that this teaser was actually better than the trailer in some ways.
Spoiler for the end, I agree with that. but for certain points, and we'll definitely get to them. But it opens with a shot of a pine forest and a mansion. I've heard one place, so I've heard one's fan group say it's in California. Another one has linked it to the John Sayles script, and it's possibly a link to the Grendel Corp and the cancelled Jurassic Park 3 script. No, Jurassic World script, or Jurassic Park 4, I should say.
Yeah, it was. I'm going to go with. I'm more inclined to believe that this is Northern California, only because the only kind of sources that I've heard say linking it to the sales script were like just fan idle speculation. Yeah,
and I don't know what the racist term for country terrain. I'm terrainist, but I thought up sort of Sweden, all that, the hills are snow-capped or something, where this just seems like that misty. It almost seems like sauna, just a real eerie pine forest.
Well, it was filmed in Pinewood Studios, which is, of course, in England, which is very foggy like this.
And
the Isla Sorna that we know of as Isla Sorna in The Lost World was filmed in the Redwoods, which, of course, is in this location, not in the movie, but it was filmed in the Redwoods, which is where this location is supposed to be in the movie.
Yeah, and me saying that in no way suggests that Lockwood's got a mansion on Sauna. I was just the way that the sort of the mist hangs to the mountains, but it's also another even though it's a shot, or presumably a shot from the film, it's just a little insight into the movie magic, where we've seen the set photos for Lockwood's Manor. It was out in a nicely prepared grassy lawn area, and we thought it had like all these gardens around it.
Yeah.
When here it's hanging on the side of a mountain surrounded by pine forest, which we've seen some of those pines near the front gate. And then I wonder how far down the mountain the front gate actually is from the mansion, but it goes back to Jurassic World as well, where they had Main Street set up in an abandoned Six Flags at Orlando and just put the Nublar CG plates behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And we cut to an interior where we got the skeletons from the official set photo that we got 6 months ago, and not a lot between. And a voiceover from Claire. Do you remember the first time you seen a dinosaur?
Do you remember the first time you've seen a dinosaur?
It would have to be Jurassic Park. The trailers for Jurassic... There's probably books at primary school or at junior school, you'd call it over there. Like, again, being pre-Jurassic, it'd be just the T-Rex standing up with probably iguanodon thumbs or something, and all that sort of thing, but I don't think I ever really took notice until Jurassic Park. And even then it would have been just the trailers, because I've never actually seen it in theatres. But how about you over there?
For me, I think it was actually in a museum. I didn't see Jurassic Park until I was 3. And I think that the first is going as far back and racking my mind as much as I can. The first time I can see a dinosaur, I can remember seeing a dinosaur, seeing the Brachiosaurus mount in the Stanley Field Hall of the Field Museum, which of course has been taken over by Sue. And the Brachiosaurus was casted and moved outside, and the original bones stuck back into storage. So I want to say that the first time, like Grant, the first time I've ever seen a dinosaur live was Brachiosaurus.
Yeah.
Not live, but...
Oh, as close as you're going to get. Nah, because I remember, I'm guessing it was because of Jurassic Park. There was a travelling fossil expedition thing that was visiting schools, and we had one come and got to hold a original. They said it was Velociraptor, but I'm guessing it would have been a Deinonychus claw. I reckon
that's cool.
I reckon there'd be a little bit of difference between the species there.
Yeah.
If we're going off the one Grant had in the film was Deinonychus and not Velociraptor as well. But yeah, just being able to and of course they had a Tyrannosaur tooth, and it's the sort of stuff like that I remember quite fondly. And that would have been the first sort of fossils I would have seen, I'm guessing. It definitely felt. I haven't really felt much more since then, apart from the ones I've brought. But yeah, no, it's a nice little blast back through memory lane.
Yeah.
Back to the trailer, we cut to the production team working on the Tyrannosaur animatronic, putting slime on the teeth, and sort of just that the saliva effect, which is really cool because it's fake drool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it seems like I'm assuming that at some point Chris Pratt's going to see the T-Rex kind of drooling or something like that, or open her mouth and roar, and that drool's just going to cover his face or something.
Well, as we see later too, he climbs into the truck beside it, where Claire's still outside. So I wonder if there's a sort of a hint back to Lex getting sneezed on, but here we get the Rex roar and it just covers her in booger. Possibly. We'll see what happens. But we cut to a little girl playing with a small Tyrannosaur toy, which is a really nice looking toy. Now I thought this was a diorama of Jurassic Park as it is, but I'm guessing this is of Jurassic Park as Lockwood and Hammond envisioned it, because there are some differences. But we can talk about that a little bit later when we come back to it.
We do get a shot of Cromwell later, and I think that shot is going to be connected to this shot, where Cromwell's going to come up behind, I think her name is Lucy, that's what I've heard. The little girl's name is Lucy.
Yeah.
He comes up behind, somebody's going to come up to her and say, "Don't stop playing with the diorama." And then Cromwell's going to, enter and act all grandfatherly and nice and say, "Oh no, it's all right. She can play if she wants." And then we get, of course, this kind of connection between her and her grandfather before he turns into a complete son of a bitch. Of course, he'll probably be novel Hammond, but but he'll be somewhat redeemable instead of completely irredeemable.
Yeah, well, that's exactly right. And I suppose as we have these theories, we can talk about him here instead of saving it for them where I might forget him. You posted during the week or after this trailer come out that exactly that quote and that that idea, and I don't feel he's going to be as mustache twirling as what we've seen before. I reckon he's going to have. It's going to be more, dare I say it, a callback to Jurassic Park 3 when Grant says some of the worst things imaginable being done with the best intentions. Whatever his backstory is with Hammond and InGen, whether as we sort of think he was screwed over, or there was a break-up in partnership and Hammond got the somehow got the child and he got nothing, or whatever happened there. Because also in that shot later he's looking pretty frail in that wheelchair as well, whether that's just a put on. If he was to be sort of the same age, I don't know if James Cromwell's the same age as Attenborough was.
No, he's not at all.
Okay, a bit younger.
Cromwell's not near. I don't think he's anywhere near Attenborough's age.
Okay.
He's old, but he's not that old.
Yep. No, I just thought they might have been around the same age film-wise, so if we see what Cromwell's like here, that's probably what Hammond would have been like, but Hammond probably would have been deteriorated a lot more. But yeah, maybe like he's got his granddaughter here that sort of loves playing with dinosaurs but never got the chance to go to Jurassic Park or Jurassic World, and whether it's the mother or father are there as well, and whether there's financial problems involved or what have you, because he seems to be pretty seclusive up in this mountain in his mansion. I just don't think it's going to be as black and white this time. I hope it's not anyway. If he's just sorry or sore because Hammond sort of cut him from the company and he's just wants revenge or money, well, come on, it's been 30 years. Something should have happened beforehand. I did hear an interesting theory about Cromwell's character, Lockwood, is that he's kind of been the one behind this Hammond's downfall, the park's downfall the entire time. He was the one that got Dodgson to hire Nedry. He was the one that whispered into Ludlow's ear that he should replace Hammond. That he was the one that hired Wu to create the Indominus Rex for any kind of ulterior motive. Because we know that the new threatening dinosaur, which we see snippets of throughout the trailer and this teaser, we know that it's not on Sorna, it's somewhere else. It's where it's possibly even wherever this mansion is. Yeah, and that's a very good theory, because as much as we want to be, more so because of the novel, InGen isn't either, but Bioson's never named in the first novel. The whole plot thread from the Lost World novel was dropped in the sequel to the film because of the issues with the actor and anything else, and it's sort of the whole Bison thing's been dropped now. That's one way to turn around and say, well, yes, it was this in the book, but hey, Dodson was working for whoever, and Cromwell might even be the head of Bison. He might have gone and done his own thing afterwards. We just don't know. And then have either Wu feeding him information about doing his own stuff or research, or having someone with him do his own research, or sending Dodson and Nedry there to sort of screw things up, or even get the embryos, and the screw up was sort of a reaction to that. But it's just something we don't know yet, and it's one of the big questions I've got going into Fallen Kingdom, and I just hope it's handled a lot better than some of the questions I had for Jurassic World.
I will say that I don't think he'll be mustache twirling at all. Hoskins was very mustache twirling. almost like a caricature of a Bond villain in a way.
Mm.
That he was like, "No, Mr. Owen, I don't expect you to talk. I expect you to die."
And
You know?
Pat's his little blue little blue baby.
Yeah, exactly.
But we keep moving on. Then we get the cut to Colin. For kids who grew up loving dinosaurs, the Jurassic movies are really the vehicle for them to see their dreams realised, which, I mean, you've just talked about seeing the museums that when we were younger because of the films. We cut to an eye-opening, very similar to I-Rex in Jurassic World, which the black scales, I think we can pretty much say it's the Indoraptor.
Yeah. It's almost like black iridescent, though. It reminds me of a lot of a blackbird, where it's like, it's dark, but it's got like this sheen to it that kind of creates like a blue sheen over it, you know?
Yep. Yep. I was sort of getting a black snake.
Oh yeah, that too.
Because a lot more, it seems a lot more scaly than what all the raptors in Jurassic World were, for instance. It almost goes back to those original Jurassic Park raptors where you've got sort of the larger scale segments on their body and not so much a leathery skin. Without that shading, of course. 'Cause adding the detail wasn't that good. And this is all animatronics too, which looks fantastic. And then we cut to Chris Pratt, Bryce, and Justice. They're hiding behind one of the gyrospheres, and you get Pratt sort of do the fist pump, and this is awesome. Or he says awesome, and you get the clapper come down to cut the scene. And then we get the slow pan down of the ruined Jurassic World gates and the monorail destroyed on the ground beside it.
And of course, the plane that we later see in the trailer flying overhead.
Yeah, it's cut a little bit differently here. You only just get a quick glimpse of it as the camera drops down. And when I was saying, I thought, well, was it a drone, a helicopter, or a plane? But of course, we see in the trailer that it is a plane. But first shot, another shot in this teaser that just looks stunning.
Yeah, it does, and it almost makes you question how did this happen? I mean, were they still running the monorails as they abandoned the park, or did they just leave the monorails to run, or did this go down with a whole bunch of people in it?
That's one question I brought up, because as far as we know from Jurassic World, everyone was sent to the harbour to get on the cruise ships, which would have meant all the monorails would have been going backwards and forwards, ferrying everyone to there, because I don't think you could just... Well, actually, I think they sent everyone there in a big crowd. They walked there, I think. No,
they evacuated them with the monorails.
Okay.
The monorails are like the only way to and from the harbor from the main compound.
Well, that's what I thought, because it runs up along that massive ridge, which is sort of the opposite side of Gallimimus Valley. But yeah, I just didn't like 22,000 people in a monorail that can hold 150 maybe.
I should say probably 100.
Yeah, they would have been going backwards and forwards, but how long would it have taken them to ferry everyone to the harbour? And again, once they got to the harbour, once the last person was evacuated, you think they'd be locked down, or when Larry shut the system off, it would have cut power to them or something. It just... yeah, there's no skeletal hand or anything hanging out a window, but it makes me wonder what's inside.
Well, they were ferrying people all the way through the night.
Yeah.
And I think they were kind of ferrying, and the park was pretty much desolate by the time that the Indominus Rex got there. But yeah.
But it's a stunning shot aside, and we get a couple more up here and in the main trailer as well. But we get Chris Pratt's voiceover. The Jurassic movies have always been suspenseful and exciting. We're telling the next chapter, and then you cut to production, working on some sets. The helicopter rig is sort of hanging there, and we've sort of above Main Street, it seems. You can see a section of the mosasaur fence there, and some of the buildings from Main Street.
Yeah.
Like someone said, you can zoom in and see Chris Pratt in the helicopter, so possibly... I don't know, because we get a couple of different shots of people arriving or being airborne on the island, so I really don't know how people are getting and leaving the island at this point.
I can't tell that. I can't tell who's in the helicopter.
Oh, okay.
Honestly. I always thought that they filmed the helicopters portion at Lockwood Studio, or I mean at Pinewood Studios at the Lockwood Manor. That's where I thought where they filmed that.
Hmm.
You can kind of see pine trees in the background too.
Yeah, but they made the section of Main Street at where Lockwood's Manor was as well.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there was one set photo that came out that leaked of the sort of helicopter at night time and lightning effects going off near it. So this is sort of it appearing and them working on the effect. But then we get the shot of the Gallimomus Valley as the troop carriers pass by the dead Ankylosaur skeleton, which we've seen in the earlier trailer or teaser. I had to laugh. I've seen someone suggest that it was the Ankylosaur the Oryx brought down when the kids are watching it in the gyrosphere, which completely different animal. Those ones were sort of, they were more Lost World feel, as in not the Jurassic franchise one where they had sort of the longer spikes on their shoulders, and this seems like an infant too in size. But we get Bryce. This story takes dinosaurs and takes Jurassic where it's never gone before. And you get Bryce and Justice looking scared, flames spill down behind them. They're in this underground bunker or whatever it is. There seems to be several scenes we get in both trailers of this underground section or of this building.
And I gotta really wonder, where are those flames coming? Is that the magma just kind of breaking through the surface there and just pouring into the bunker?
Well, we've seen set photos from Real News or in Hawaii of the sort of like the fake lava on top of one of the bunkers there. So I don't know if it's sort of running over the roof or what's happening there, but it's I wonder if they haven't finished the effect, because it seems it looks like it's just sort of fire dripping down. It doesn't actually look like I wouldn't imagine lava to be running or flowing this fluently unless there's a lot of it. It could be parts of the building melting.
Yeah, true.
But then to get lighting, they would probably use sort of fire, like a flammable liquid, to drip down with the fire on it, just so the lighting is all that and all right. But we're going to cut to explosions in the mansion and labs, or what we assume is in the mansion. Interesting here, there's a shot with some incubators with some eggs in them. And then a separate area which has got some like jail bars and cells or cages.
So it looks like Wu is definitely developing more of his own products.
Yeah, this isn't the Jurassic World lab, it's another lab somewhere else where we can expect Wu was taken to during Jurassic World and that incident. But again, it's sort of everything's blowing up, so I heard one theory that it would be great to see Nick Van Owen come back in a surprise cameo and help blow the lab to bits. I doubt it, but it'd be a good little callback. And then we get Pratt saying we are literally blowing up the island, which sort of picks up the tempo a bit. We get the East Dock scenes with the explosions going on, fuel drums and that exploding, and the gang are sort of running and jumping in the back of the Unimog. Which
this was filmed. Wasn't this filmed in a harbor in Oahu?
Yeah, yep. And they had a aged East Dock sign there on the set, which I'm pretty sure the production team left there because they also donated a heap of money to the harbour master or the group that run the harbour to sort of get security cameras and all that sort of thing added to the site afterwards. So I just found it interesting. They're sort of, if you assume they're trying to escape the volcano and these explosions maybe from lava bombs or something coming down.
So,
because later we do see sort of explosions on the asphalt around them and chunks of rock and that coming up. They're driving, they're running to jump in the back of a truck, which is driving as fast as they can go towards the end of the dock. We know, we've seen images of the boat. If if this boat's going to be CG and they're sort of going to be driving towards a platform or an entry ramp as it's closing or as the boat's getting ready to set sail. It's sort of, and again, if you're going to have a big boat with dinosaur cages on it and that sort of stuff, it's going to be very hard to do practically unless you're James Cameron.
Well, we do see later in the trailer the back of a ship with containers and stuff in it.
Yes, and there's
behind the island.
Yeah, and
so
they're
I think
looking.
that's what they're driving to.
Yeah, yep.
It's almost like an LPD where the back comes down. And,
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, no, I just felt it weird that they sort of run to get in this truck to go an extra 100 or couple hundred meters to the end of the dock. When the Unimog's got like a canvas tarp on it as well, so you're not really protecting yourself from lava bombs. But if it was one of the armoured personnel carriers, I'd understand a bit more. But that's all right. We get there, cut to the introduction of J.A. Bayona, and he explains how he likes intensity and playing with suspense, and to make the audience feel the total experience.
I'd like to go back to the East Dock though for a second though.
Yep.
Because I mean, this is the spot where we've seen them. So I think that they are running. That what's going to happen is that somehow Owen, Claire, and Justice, I think his name is, get left behind somehow, and they're running to get in the truck so that it can maybe launch itself into the back of a boat. But the other thing is that we also know that they filmed here with static props, Stegosaurus, and other dinosaurs, so we know that this is definitely where they are offloading the dinosaurs from the island.
Yeah, and if, just like I wanted in The Lost World, I want to see dinosaurs in cages getting loaded onto a boat or that stuff. Like we've seen the cages on the dock. Presumably there's going to be a cutscene to someone there or the captain saying, "No, this thing's ready to blow, we need to get out of here," or something, while animals are getting loaded on. I hope none of the animals are left behind on the dock in cages, because it's already going to be sad. It's already been sad enough with what we see coming up in the trailer with what happens with some of the animals there. But
I also noticed, I don't think the shot is finished, the shot of them jumping to the back of the truck, because I just noticed, I think somebody's house on the opposite side.
That would have been the old Jurassic Park Harbour Master.
Yep.
Well, it's sort of, it cuts so fluently between sort of in-film shots and scenes and the behind-the-scenes stuff, so yeah, that might be just part of the behind-the-scenes stuff that they haven't CG'd that out. I'm sure 10 seconds later, as the camera comes around, you'll see a sailboat or something in the harbour. Yeah, but we got introduction to J.A. Bayona here as well.
Yeah.
He wants to make the audience feel the total experience.
Yeah, and J.A. Bayona is really good at that. I think that from what we've seen of the tone so far, it looks like this movie is definitely going to be darker. It's definitely going to be more suspenseful than any of the previous movies besides The Lost World. I think it's definitely going to be on par with The Lost World in terms of suspense and thrill and stuff like that.
When I was saying this, I was actually thinking it was going to be sort of more like just take The Lost World and say, no, this is how you really do it. With some of the scenes, now we'll get to some of the clips from the main trailer that sort of pulled me back from that idea. But I haven't seen any of his previous films. I'm going to try and make an effort to see a Monster Calls and that. But
I've seen one of Monster Calls, and it's very good. It's very suspenseful, kind of creepy in a way, and I think it's that Bayona was a very good choice for this movie.
And
going back to what you said about the way that you kind of feel that this was going to say, this is how The Lost World should have been, I kind of feel like this is going to be the movie that people expected The Lost World to be.
It's definitely
going to be this movie that had they ignored had the second novel not been written, that this is what we would have gotten. We would have gotten this kind of Jurassic Park, Return to Jurassic Park to save the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep, and we definitely get that more from the main trailer where we see what Main Street looks like and that. But even going back to our predecessors, Kyle and Brody when they were doing the Jurassic Park podcast, whenever the sort of the Lost World come up there, I think even when we were on the show with them, in episode 106 and 107, or 7 and 8, their dreams or their hopes for a Jurassic sequel were returning to that abandoned theme park.
Exactly.
And a lot of people at the time would have thought, yep, this is what we're going to do. They probably hadn't read the book at the time and thought, oh, good, Jurassic Park, we're going to see what happens after the helicopter flies away from the island. And no, here we are. It's classic Ian. Okay, so there's another island, no fences this time, and you can send people in. Very few people on the ground. It's just... Yeah, and that's where it started to unravel for a lot of fans, and I think in time, like especially after Jurassic Park 3 came out, a lot of fans have learned to appreciate it a lot more, and so for some like me, it's their favourite of the franchise. So
yeah, same.
Yep. Then we cut to Chris on it's like a glass roof, like a abonarium, no, whatever the inside fernery or gardens are called. I can't remember the name of it now. They cut to a glass roof structure anyway, and Chris is on it holding the young girl's arm. A nighttime scene that's raining, which is the mansion. We get some more mansion shots as well. Pratt approaching a table, and we see a dead or an unconscious body at the very least, hanging out beside the structure in the middle of the room, and all of a sudden it's whipped away. Unsure by what whipped the body away, because it's not a large structure. It's like a big marble box or something that possibly there's a dinosaur statue on top of, or there was a dinosaur statue on top of.
Yeah, I think it's going to be one of the dinosaur statue stands.
Yeah.
Because we'll go back to the shot that's with Bayona in it. You can see that there's like this funky creature that we saw the shadow of. Kind of in the background in this diorama set. So he has these diorama sets kind of around this main foyer of statues. I'm sorry, skeleton mounts.
Yep. Yeah, I just found it interesting that sort of it isn't a very large area for something to hide behind. It sort of screams or it shadows a lot of the raptor attack at the start of Jurassic Park, but at least that raptor was pulling the gatekeeper into a box where you couldn't really see what was happening, where here there's no tail hanging out the back. It sort of whips this unconscious person out of sight really quickly, and it's a good little jump scare. Unfortunately, now we've seen it in the trailer. But yeah, then nothing. Maybe there's a following scene where it runs around the other side and carries the body off or something.
I think in the context it's still going to be pretty scary.
Oh yeah.
You know? I mean, this scene just screams that it's going to be tense when we see it in the theater.
Yep. Well, that's because we got scenes here with Pratt sort of walking around the mansion, very tense stuff, like Bayona was saying, how he wants to do. It sort of reminds me a lot of the Resident Evil movies, same thing, just wandering the mansion, waiting for something to jump out behind a door at you. Cut to Bryce when she says Bayona's generous when it comes to frightening people, and then we cut to a screen with a big blinking red dot on it, and Justice is there murmuring it's a T-Rex, and Claire tells him to stop, it's not the T-Rex. And
the pipe's small for the T-Rex.
yeah. They're in some type of control room again, this either underground bunker or the same stuff we've seen before. Flames light up the room, and we get the reveal of the baryonyx that we've seen in the first TV spot.
Yeah. And I actually just noticed in the HD shot of this, you can see just spit flying out of its mouth.
Yeah, so we've got the introduction of the baryonyx. Now, we didn't talk about the first TV spot last week, did we?
I thought we did.
Okay. And then we cut to Chris and Bryce with Bayona sort of playing around on set, and Pratt says you got to be careful, these dinosaurs are flipping out everywhere, and sort of flicks the safety off his pistol and says, let's go. We cut to what's being dubbed the courtroom scene. A quick shot of that. We got Bayona working on the New Blood diorama, which you can see the Jurassic Park gates there, even though they're sort of pointing out towards a like a hill. Again, sort of makes me think this is something that maybe Hammond and Lockwood stood around saying this is our dream. I hope there's a drop to San Diego. Maybe Lockwood, maybe Lockwood saying we should just stick with the San Diego project, and Hammond like, no, we the animals deserve better or something. It's probably another question on my list that's not going to get answered, unfortunately. But we got Colin. It's important to us that the story be balanced on the characters, some of whom we know and some we're just meeting. And we get a quick cut here of Wu looking down the specimen in a sort of a glass tube. We got two new characters.
Yeah. One of them is a girl. She looks kind of sweet and innocent, but then you notice the Semper Fi tattoo, so that she's an ex-Marine. Yeah, well, I think she actually described her character as being a badass. So that definitely goes hand in hand.
Yeah, she's part of the dinosaur rights group that Claire's sort of spearheading, which seems to be the motivation to go to the island and rescue the animals. But as you said, she sort of seems to be military as well, and possibly not going there with the animal's best interests at heart. And also we get the shot here of Lockwood in his wheelchair with one of those canes that we've seen a few months ago.
Yeah. His cane seems to also mirror Hammond's, but in a way that his is just simple wood, whereas Hammond's was, or his is wood with a silver divider between the base and the amber cane topper, whereas Hammond's had like a bone / bamboo kind of motif to it.
Yep. Another prop I need. Then we cut to Pratt. Jeff Goldblum, not going to lie, it's pretty awesome. And we cut to see the man himself in the courtroom. And
not gonna lie, it is pretty awesome. We got Jeff Goldblum back in this movie.
Yep, and he says, even just his line here I am talking about dinosaurs again. And so he's got that amazed face, and that's Malcolm as far as I'm concerned. I'm going to get to the lines we get in the trailer, how I think that's not Malcolm, but just he's got the beard, rocking the beard, completely 180 from his recent appearance in Guardians. So what he's there for, I found interesting that they took the time to print up a nameplate for him, so they obviously knew he was going to be there.
And of course, rocking the Ian Malcolm black. He's wearing an all black suit. Even everything in the suit is black. Even the undershirt is black. Black tie, black shirt, black suit coat.
He kept on coming out of his trailer, and he kept on coming out of his trailer, and Banner just kept on yelling to the dressers, "More black, more black." As for what's happening here, I sort of had the thought today maybe he's going to be more, not an antagonist, but just sort of not in any way, shape or form supporting or suggesting these animals should be saved at all.
I don't know. I'm on the fence of where he might be with this. I have no idea where he's. I mean, you'd think that Ian Malcolm would be like, yeah, they got to be destroyed completely. But then, I mean, the dialogue he has in the trailer almost makes me think otherwise.
That's all right. We'll get to it when we get to the next trailer. Then we cut to a head puppet of the Carnotaurus and Blue, which were fantastic. Good to see two. I'm going to say two stand-in because they're too small to be the actual animatronic heads.
Yeah.
The stand-ins.
And the blue one here looks like it's actually out in front of the Lockwood Manor.
Yeah, which is interesting because we've seen the trailer. Chris is going there to save her, so. I suppose you should bring up too how they structured the official trailer to be the first. Colin said within the first hour of the film, and nothing the second hour has been shown in that trailer to keep fans guessing. But then this comes out and stuff like that. Well, that obviously shows that Blue gets off the island and somehow ends up this mansion at the end, and
Well, I think he means like the trailer only shows the
Okay.
trailer only shows the first hour, not the behind the scenes or anything like that.
okay. I hope there's more behind the scenes than this on the DVDs and that.
Oh, we had the fact that we finally have animatronics again should make the behind the scenes really fun to watch.
Yeah.
Making a featurette that shows how they built all the animatronics. That should be awesome.
And a book, please.
Oh.
Someone make a goddamn table book. But then we get the big girl herself, the Rex animatronic here as well. And then we get another guy. I don't know. There's no subtitles, so I don't know who it actually is. But he says in this Jurassic World you'll see more dinosaurs than you've ever seen before. I don't know if that's one of the production guys or... I'm not real good with faces in cast and crew.
I don't know who this guy is. I think he might be part of the effects team.
Yeah. Is it the same? Is he the same one that's using the remote control later when Blue's on the table?
I couldn't tell. No, I don't think that was the same guy. That guy was older.
Okay. Well, that happens in this scene. We get a cut and we see Blue laying on a table screaming, like giving out a shriek, and Bryce looking scared and sort of lifts its head and snaps its jaws, which we sort of talked in The Lost World when we got to that part about the baby on the table and how they had the issues of having something big and solid like that not really conforming and laying down to the table as it naturally would. Well, here they've just upped the scale a hell of a lot and it looks fantastic. And we also get a cut here too of one of the prop makers sort of painting the Blue animatronic up. And then we get Pratt on this movie. We're dealing with real animatronic dinosaurs, which is good to know. Something like this, well, they wouldn't have been able to do something like this with Jurassic World because it would have been a lot of green screens, but I think they've definitely taken some criticisms from Jurassic World and gone, "Nah, we've got to do it this way." And from all accounts, fans are 100% with what they've been doing so far, animatronic-wise. Because we get a nice shot here. I'm guessing an ankylosaur, or something like that, because we get a close-up of an eye. Sort of opening and closing.
I don't know what it is, but I think that might be the Stegosaurus. I don't know.
Oh, okay, possibly. I just love how it's sort of got that little tint of yellow between the scales. It sort of reminds me of that leaked shot of the animatronic Velociraptor for Jurassic World that we never actually seen, where it sort of made the raptors more green with that sort of yellow in between the scale lines. But it's definitely like a fat-headed animal. It's definitely not a carnivore.
No.
I don't think. Then we got Bryce. It looks like a real dinosaur, and she couldn't help but freaked out the whole time. Which again, because we cut to the Rex in the cage here, and her eyes open, and her head lifts up, and she bellows, while Chris is standing beside it. Which there's some fun times.
Now, I think that something that's going to be great about this movie is that it's going to be really hard to tell the blending of the CGI and the animatronic. Because when I first saw the shot with Rexy here, I swore that was a CGI effect. Just because I had seen the stand-in prop before, and I assumed it was a static prop like what they had used on Jurassic World. And then with the shot with Blue, I thought I would have paid money to say that was a practical effect, but that was CGI.
Yeah, yep. And that's maybe there is some slight CG work going on with the stand-in just to sort of give it a little bit more fluidness or something, which it doesn't really need to. They're pretty good with the animatronics now. I suppose we won't know until we see a stegosaur in the cage, or a triceratops, because at least that way they've sort of got. Well, I think they're just foam sculpted animals that have been painted for the stand-ins, but at least you got the characters that they can put their hand on it and like interact. We've seen the scene with Claire and Owen in Jurassic World where they got the apatosaur neck there. Now, say what you will about the quality there, but at least they've got something to touch and interact with and all that, and it was a good part of the film. So, and we get a cut with Pratt looking up at a jungle canopy, sunlight sort of coming through, which I just love that sort of deep dark jungle when the sun's trying to break through the canopy.
Echoes of the Lost World all over the shot.
Yep, and we got Bayonne. The challenge of making a sequel is to find the balance between what people are expecting and what people will be surprised by. And that's sort of intermingled, voiced over with Pratt walking up a stream bed. We suddenly get to see a mirror, car mirror, in the foreground, and then Blue leaps out of the open on top of this overturned car and sort of snarls at Pratt, which we didn't see. It's not as obvious here, but in the main trailer, it's definitely 04 Explorer upside down.
Yep. So it looks like we're going to get to see Rexy's old paddock again.
Or this section of it. I swear, there better be a retaining wall behind that somewhere. It's also interesting too, so that culvert under the road sort of has made this stream now. It was sort of hard to determine what was there in Jurassic Park, but it's great. Just another little callback from Jurassic Park here, whether it's Owen there to be eaten by Blue or to save Blue. It's all going to happen in this old bit of park tech, and then we pretty much get the run clip that we seen in the first teaser. We cut to Bryce and Justice in a gyrosphere, going down a trackway, looking terrified, sort of like a roller coaster.
Well, it looks like that in the final trailer, this ends up being them going over the cliff.
Yeah, definitely. And we can sort of talk about when we get there, because you got the effects added afterwards in the water.
Yeah.
But then we got Colin. This movie's going to be more intense and pretty spectacular, which he's there making it, so he's got to pimp it out. More explosions on the dock. Gyrosphere underwater. Pratt jumps in to save him, which we think he's jumping to save him, but from what we see in the trailer, he's probably just jumping in to avoid the disaster that's happening behind him. And it's sort of interesting here too, because this is obviously in a pool, nice, beautiful, dark blue water, where later there's going to be fire and animals plopping in all around him. But then we got Pratt back beside the Rex head in that trailer, and he sort of turns to the camera and breaks the fourth wall and says, "That was some of my best acting." And we get a shot of the group inside a corporate helicopter or a plane. Again, don't know if they're flying to or from. This could be the end of the movie. Could be anywhere. Gyrosphere prop again. Pratt sort of given the rock band sign. You got Bryce. It's like nothing you've ever seen before. The Rex head again. Then you got the Indoraptor roaring at the guy against the wall with that messed up jawline, which is sort of very I-Rex. And then you got the cut to Pratt feeding the baby Blue scene, and some sort of chew toys visible there, which is interesting because in that first teaser we got, it sort of looked like it was down low, sort of mobile phone footage, whereas here it's sort of up higher where a camera would be. So I wonder if Bayonne or Colin or someone just sort of recorded Chris doing that to just release as a teaser, or what was happening there. But now that I've seen this shot sort of higher up, I don't think that lower shot's going to be in the film. I think that was just something put together for the first little bit of marketing.
Possibly. I mean, we do know that happens all the time, where they film shots specifically for marketing and then don't use them in the movie.
Yep.
I mean, so many of those shots were done for Rogue One, where they just turn the camera on while they're coming off a shot, and they grab something that really good that they liked, and they just threw it into the trailer.
Yep. And then we get Pratt just saying, "Yeah, man, it's Jurassic," and this is going to be awesome line from the first teaser as well. And then we get the slow reveal of some embers in the background of the another Fallen Kingdom logo, which I'm not a fan of at all. It's sort of got that shine, and almost like the sun's up in the top left or the top right or something like the Jurassic World one had.
Yeah, it doesn't look right. And it looks like the logo has actually been cut out. Like the background has been cut out, and it's just the circle with the Rex head and the plaque.
Yeah. Where's the broken concrete or the rock one? that we've
doesn't
seen.
seem like we're going for that anymore, I guess.
Yeah. Like even just have that and have it appear, and then have the embers start to fall in front of it, then just sort of have the cracks start to glow red or something. Just I really like that. I really like that logo, and it seems like they've not going because we get we get the exact same logo on the end of the first trailer as well.
Mm-hmm. And I miss that. I do miss the color and the logos that we used to have.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the behind the scenes teaser trailer. Just over, I think it's 3 minutes and 20 seconds long, longer than the official trailer.
Yeah.
I suppose anything else you want to bring up out of that?
I think honestly it's more interesting than the trailer, I think.
Yeah, I even love the score sort of playing as well, sort of that real suspenseful drums. That's one thing I'm going to strike the other one pretty negatively for when we get to it here in a minute. But
the music that goes over in this behind-the-scenes teaser is beautiful. It's like it's Welcome to Jurassic Park, but if it was taken down to the level of the Imperial March with that kind of boldness and impactfulness, you know?
Yep. But it was just a fantastic little thing. I would have been quite happy with this, and then got the full trailer in February with Super Bowl. Like it showed stuff from the scene. It gave us the feel of the movie. Gave us animatronics. The main cast on set, either in film scenes or just interacting with Fiona or Colin or the animals themselves.
Oh, I think I remember saying after I saw this, that's better than the trailer. I'm happy with this.
Yeah. And definitely for future going ahead, I'll be probably watching this a lot more than what we get coming up next.
Taking dinosaurs off this island is the worst idea in the long, sad history of bad ideas, and I'm going to be there when you learn that.
So, what are you dating, like an accountant now, or
Owen,
a ventriloquist?
stop it.
You love a dummy.
This is not why we're here.
You can blame me, try to shame me.
I know why we're here. A rescue op. Save the dinosaurs from the island that's about to explode. What could go wrong?
Blue is alive. You raised her.
Do these animals deserve the same protections given to other species? Or should they just be left to die?
These creatures were here before us. And if we're not careful, they're going to be here after.
You know me.
Life cannot be contained. Life breaks free. Life finds a way.
Thursday, during Thursday Night Football, the first trailer dropped for everyone else. I think the Twitter, Jurassic or the Universal Twitter posted it before it actually screened on the TV.
They did. They posted. I probably want to say 2 or 3 minutes before it appeared on screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is kind of disappointing. I was kind of looking forward to filming it on my TV and being the first one to post it up on the chat. and on Facebook and all over social media.
Yeah, yep. Oh, it was a hectic week. I repeated posts of when's the trailer? When's the trailer? Is the trailer now? When's the trailer? I just really just wanted to walk away from the fandom for a couple of days, but and after seeing that behind the scenes one, I could have quite happily just notifications off until till June next year. But no, we got the official trailer released, just about 2.5 minutes long. Opens with a jukebox in a bar selecting and playing a record. We got Chris and Bryce in there, which I thought was reminiscent of Jurassic Park 3. I would have preferred Big Hat No Cattle to start playing, but it's, that probably would have ticked some fans off straight away with any reference to that movie. It could have been a nice little callback, but I don't think they want to call back.
It kind of is, but I mean the scene kind of already is a callback in a way.
Yeah.
Bayona was like, okay, this is. I know where to cut it off. Trevorrow really didn't know where to cut the nostalgia baiting off. I feel like Bayona does. He knows where to draw the lines with referencing.
Yeah, yep. So we got Chris and Bryce sitting by a table, and Chris asks her, "So what, you're dating an accountant now?" Bryce replies, "Owen," and he says, "Ventriloquist, you love a dummy." And cut back to Bryce. This is not why we're here. So good little bit of banter between them here earlier, because apparently they didn't stay together after Jurassic World. They
No, it was apparently not. Apparently Claire found somebody who was as boring as her former self.
Yeah, yep. Now, I suppose we can talk about this quickly here too. The time frame between Jurassic World and here in movie, like the Universal release said it was 4 years.
Yes, so it's going to be set in 2019, not 2018.
Okay, because
first Jurassic Park.
Yeah,
where it's not set in the time of its release.
Yep.
Well, actually, not technically at first, because Jurassic World was set in Christmas of 2015, whereas the movie actually takes place. I mean, it was released on June of 2015. So I mean, we did get a little into the future a bit with Jurassic World, but we've never had a film where it wasn't set in that same year that it was released.
Yeah, yep. Because I listened to a podcast today, they reckon it was 3 years afterwards, and then when we seen sort of the images, the first set images from Hawaii of the damaged or the destroyed Main Street, I'm pretty sure it was mentioned there somewhere that it was supposed to be 10 years later, and even sort of going back, and we've screen capped various parts, especially what we're going to talk about up here in a bit with the Main Street stuff we see. I was sort of going towards sort of trying to match it up with what devastation we've seen or regrowth we've seen in the Lost World, but then I've sort of realised that's not really possible, because the hurricane would have come through and destroyed a lot of stuff first before the foliage sort of grew back over, where here it's possible there's been some bad weather. We see sort of half the roof of the Innovation Centre missing a little bit later, but but I just love this abandonment. But we'll get to there shortly. We cut to a plane flying over a coastline. Again, very reminiscent of Jurassic Park 3. And then you got Pratt sort of looking out the window intensely. We've seen in the previous behind-the-scenes one of them all in a plane as well, so I don't know if this is the same plane, if this is them going to the island, if it's coming back. It's very hard to try and string all this together.
I think this will probably be them going to the island. They'll be going to the island with a whole caravan of equipment and stuff that eventually does not end up being used as intended.
Yeah, and this isn't really much a spoiler. It's just something that was shot in Hawaii. We know there was a scene with this parachuting plane they had it for half a day, where we apparently Chris and Bryce were running across a field and get into it and fly fly away. So I'm just trying to think of that. The rumours that they're heading there on a submarine. The boat's obviously leaving, so they've got to get on the boat at some point. And then we've also got that helicopter that was seen in Main Street. Like, there's a lot of vehicles coming and going, it seems, to the island.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, with the operation that they're planning into doing, and this isn't the Lost World where InGen's going to get a dozen species of animals. This is, we're going in to try and get 100 animals off the island, if not more. And as we see a little bit later, not going to be that successful. But we cut to the scene we've seen previously with the plane, a lot more established now, the plane flying over the top of the Jurassic World gates, and that destroyed monorail on the ground. We've pretty much covered all that from there. That shot in HD is my desktop wallpaper at the moment. Then we cut to the cut back to the bar, and Pratt says, "I know why we're here." We cut back to the island with the personnel carriers driving up Galmont's Valley like we've seen before in the dead ankylosaur. They apparently or appear to stop in front of the bunker doors because one of them sort of opens up in front of Bryce, revealing her and the team, and they move inside. Pratt's voiceover, it's a rescue up, go in, save the dinosaurs from an island that's about to explode. And we get the shot from the first TV spot of Pratt looking up. Now, he looks up in the sky here. I don't think it's the same scene because he looks a lot fresher. He's got his backpack on. It's probably going to be towards when he first gets there, and you can either hear Blue crying or something, or just taking back in the awe of the island when he gets back there. Because then we cut back to the bar, and he says, "What could go wrong?" And then sort of Bryce says Blue is alive, and we cut to the baby Blue scene that we've seen before. And back at the bar, Bryce tells Owen that he raised her, and he sort of gets that sort of look, maybe not shameful, but that look on his face of, oh yeah, she's still there, and she's going to suffer like all the other animals there. Now, this goes back to Jurassic World as well with, okay, he's a Navy man. It was never established that he was an animal trainer in the Navy, but he's been brought in to train these raptors and everything else. I know soldiers get attached to pets on deployment. Mainly, well, I suppose the only pets that'd be on deployment would be the mine dogs, the explosive sniffer dogs and that sort of stuff. Their relationship in Jurassic World was pretty fragile. He only went into that cage at the start to save that guy. It's not something he would have volunteered to do any other time. And even when all the guards come up, he's sort of telling them, don't put a jolt into them, otherwise they'll never trust me again. What's abandoning her on the island going to do?
Oh yeah, really.
And we get a little hint of that a little bit later. And yeah, it just seems like a stretch. If he hasn't thought about it for X amount of years, he never tried to sneak back. He's a Navy man, surely he could get some resources and go back. What's he gonna? Is he gonna go and bring her home? Like, there's questions that I'm probably looking way too deeply into.
I think a Velociraptor would be kind of hard to find a vet to take care of.
Yeah, but maybe we've been speculating that it's either Baby Blue or Blue's baby. Maybe there's a piece of technology back in the old visitor center that shrinks dinosaurs back down to infancy. That whole bison pygmy dinosaur idea. That's the only thing that makes sense. But anyway, go on. Then we get no, that's not it. Lost. Then we get the jukebox music stops, and a real weird violin shriek. Credits pop up from executive director. No, it should be executive producer Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
We pan through the gift shop as the trip carrier drives down broken window on Main Street, and we get the voiceover, do these animals deserve the same protection given to other species?
And it's great here. We get the first kind of close-up of a Compsognathus looking at the cages as they bring them in. And it's among all these toy dinosaurs, including a toy, the Allosaurus toy from the Jurassic Park 3D toy line, the Jurassic World Ankylosaurus toy, the Jurassic World Dilophosaurus toy, and a couple Stomp and Strike T-Rex toys from Jurassic World.
Yeah.
Toy line.
Which in marketing for Jurassic World, I remember. I think Pratt was doing a live feed with one of the morning TV shows over or something from a gift shop, and it had a lot of the Hasbro stuff in there as props.
That and Hasbro prototypes as well, that
Yeah.
of course were better than what we actually got.
Although we never got that big green raptor claw, or we didn't here anyway.
Oh, we did. We have plenty of them. We still have plenty of them left over in our stores.
Dang it. I'm sure they're $100. I'm sure they're $100 on eBay now. We'll talk about that later. Yeah, and it's just a weird cut here because he got this. I know a lot of trailers now for films are sort of going with the older music to tie in. I don't really feel it matches the scene here. Again, it's just a jukebox in the back corner, so okay. But then it just stops and we get this violin shriek with Spielberg's name come up. Pan through the gift shop. I just love how the compy's sitting there like it's one of the other toys, and all of a sudden it scurries off. Again, sort of seeing through its eyes that there's people back here after X amount of years, and they've brought cages with them. And just great again to see more confirmation of compies on Nublar. But we cut to the team on Main Street here as well. They're sort of walking up, and we get the voiceover again, which, as the same voiceover before, it's the chief judge or whoever's running the inquiry back on the mainland, or should they just be left to die, referring to the animals. And you get Pratt & Co. looks towards the Innovation Centre, and we get the return of the Brachiosaurus lumbering by. Gives a little bellow, and yeah, first time since Jurassic Park.
First time we've seen the female Brachiosaurus, especially.
Yeah, yep, and it's just good here they didn't do the, as we said sort of last week, with the progression of films and changing up designs every time. It's going back to that Jurassic Brachiosaurus, not a further evolution of the Sauna male that we see, which again sort of doesn't match anyway, and it fits for what it needs to do there. But yeah, just Brachiosaur Main Street gives that little bellow. The CG looks real good. I love the set, like the area, the destroyed Innovation Centre, trees and palms and shrubs growing up through the street, and canvas umbrellas and that sort of flapping in the wind, half destroyed. It just, I love it. And as we said for the previous trailer, this is also the first 57 minutes of the film, so I think they're going to be my favourite 57 minutes of the film. But speaking of something we haven't seen from the first movie, well, we have, but we cut back to the courtroom, and Malcolm's on the stand. These creatures were here before us. Cut to Chris and Bryce in the Rex container that we've seen before. Back to Malcolm, and if we're not careful, shot. And then here we get these shots of these Stegosaur and some other animals in cages in a hold of the ship, as it pans toward the rear of the ship as it's leaving the island, and you just sort of get a quick shot of just an island of magma and lava, which is right. We do see the mountain exploding there in a couple of the shots in the other trailers, but this is the island's not just going to explode and disappear off the map. It's going to be lava. The island's still going to be there. It's just no vegetation. It's just going to be a rock in the ocean.
Well, then again, we also don't know how powerful and how much of an explosion is going to be.
Yeah.
They just cover the first northern half of the island, and the rest of the island will be fine. You know.
Well, that's it's in the north. It might come down as far as the lagoon and the southern end of the island's fine, but we know that they want to get away from the islands, and this is the way they're going to do it. And there's not going to be anything left. We're either going to get a news report or something at the end, or something to say the island's gone. Then we get Bryce and Justice in the bunker here, as well as lava starts to flow down around them as the baryonyx approaches. And we finally cut back to Malcolm again to say they'll be here after us. Which is, just the way he's saying is really sort of somber, and it reminds me a lot more of his David Levestein character from Independence Day more than Malcolm. That first line we got in the previous behind the scenes trailer, where he's sort of like, "What are you on talking about dinosaurs again?" That felt like very Lost World. Just he's fed up with everyone. I've told you so. I'm going to be snarky and drop trailer lines, which is a good Malcolm, and it's sort of here he's just really slow, he's sort of really ominous. Yeah.
Well, here he almost feels almost like this Malcolm is rubbing in your face. Ha ha ha! I was right for 20 years. You know.
Well, again, now he's seen the Jurassic World fail as well, so it's just another card in his deck to say, hey, look, all these times you've tried to do it, it hasn't worked. Whether what he's saying here reflects on anyone else trying to do what InGen did, or if it's to reflect on going to save the animals. Because he sort of said that, like, these creatures were here before us. Yeah, so... Or they'll be here after, which I thought was very ominous to where Part 3 might go. Or it just might mean that stop being stupid, man, otherwise we're not going to be the dominant species anymore. But then we cut to the side of the mountain exploding again, and the pterodons flying or fleeing the eruption. More shots, or the shots of the harbour exploding again. With still no lava bombs, just the explosions themselves. So again, it might just be unfinished film. And then we cut to Blue jumping out of the forest onto the back of Explorer 04 behind Pratt. He turns to face.
Like a shot for shot almost of that poster that we got for
the John Inglis poster,
yeah.
Minus the nest in the, or I suppose we can't really see that, but minus the view anyway. Which is a good little, whether it's a callback or an intended little scene. I do have a problem here with the Explorer moving when Blue jumps onto it. It's been there for 30 years. It'd be implanted in the ground pretty solidly, but again, nitpicks, and so we got sort of Blue and Chris face to face here, face to face, and he sort of tells her, "You know me," and reaches his hand out.
It's interesting that when he says that, "You know me," he's in the same exact position, fist closed and open-handed, as when we first see him when he's directing the Raptors in Jurassic World. He kind of looks like the clicker.
Well, that's I was nearly waiting for that sound effect.
Yeah.
Because he's in the exact same pose. Again, just trying to, I suppose, make Blue remember. We haven't seen him. We haven't seen him try and solve puzzles repeatedly yet, so we don't know what their long-term memory's like. But
then we get a close-up of him reaching out to pat her head almost, and she snarls. So of course it's just like, "Come on, you know me." Reaches out his hand, chomp.
Yep. Are you watching it now?
No, I'm just looking at screen caps.
Is he wearing the gauntlet or not?
No, he's not. He's not actually.
Because that's one thing I was looking in the trailer, whether or not he was wearing it at any point to try and see where that baby scene comes in. Maybe there's a nest here somewhere. But anyway,
I can't see one. It's possibly the other set of wheels that's hidden behind his leg. So
I doubt it's not going to be in the wheel well. I could see compies having a nest in the wheel well, but not raptors. You'd have to do some gymnastics to get the eggs in there in the first place. So, but no, it's good we sort of see Owen and Blue in the trailer as well. Shows what his motivation, or his supposed motivation, is to go back to save her and not necessarily getting a check with some zeros on it. We get the shot of the volcano blowing its top from before, but this time it's sort of shot from above as the camera's panning around, which looks fantastic because you get that nice view down Galmomus Valley as well. And you get the gyrosaur being bumped and the Carnotaurus reveal.
Actually, going back to the previous shot of the mountain exploding, if you look closely, you can see little smoke bits where fires have already started from lava bombs.
Oh, okay.
But yeah.
Nice. Well, they advanced.
Carnotaurus. Finally. We've been waiting 20 years for this dinosaur to appear in a Jurassic Park movie.
And it looks fantastic.
It does. It looks so cool.
I just love the darker tone, the orange cues on it, the textures on it. You got Bryce and Justice in the gyrosphere, and Pratt standing beside the open door as the Carnosaur sort of closes in on him. It's sort of, I realised too that, okay, the gyrosphere is a two-seater. He can't, unless, like, he can't even sit on their lap because they're on a floating platform inside. If he hits the glass, it's going to suck him down underneath that big lead ball in the bottom of it. So it's a great little scene here. Sort of, again, the suspense builds up. Because then it roars and sort of drops the head and charges at him. And then we get the Tyrannosaur make its appearance in the trailer. Comes in, grabs it by the neck, and puts it on the ground. And a lot of fans are hoping doesn't kill it.
Yeah. I can see that. I mean, we waited 2 decades to see this animal, and just for it to die in 3 seconds, it'd be really anticlimactic.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we're not going to have... I don't think we're going to have a Carnotaur and Rex fight out of this, because if there's a fight, you know what's going to happen. I hope it's the Rex's attention turns to the gyrosphere. But then again, as we were saying in the previous, trying to stitch all these scenes together. When this Carnotaur is here, you can see the clouds starting to come down off the mountain behind. Like, this is just before what we're about to see, which suggests that the Rex is also in this proclastic flow that's about to come down off this mountain. Whether it just takes 4 steps to the left and everyone else runs down the valley, or I don't... It's just trying to stitch this stuff together. Because they're pretty high up in the valley too, yet somehow at the same time Pratt and the gyrosphere make it to the end of the cliff at the same time. Because the Rex puts the Carnotaur down here, and then she does a bellow that we all know and love, and just as the volcano really steps up the eruption behind her, which again is another fantastic shot. The Rex looks a lot better than it did in Jurassic World. Yeah, she looks fantastic.
She looks so good.
Yep.
She looks yeah, I agree. Fantastic would be the perfect word to use here.
Which just goes...
You can still see all the scars and stuff from the fight with the Indominus Rex on her.
Yep, and it just goes to show, even a condition like how much better it is for her to be hunting and eating larger animals and getting goats 5 times a day or whatever the feeding schedule was.
She does look a lot healthier.
Yeah.
She looks a lot healthier.
Yep. Which improved health might give her more of that fighting chance. I still think in Jurassic World she looked like Grandma T-Rex. Like, you got a lot of bones sticking out, and she did look a bit decrepit, but they've definitely fixed that here.
Oh, yeah.
And then we get the voiceover, we get Malcolm's voiceover here, life cannot be contained. Then we get a shot of herbivores in the gyrosphere heading down the valley at speed, running away as lava bombs are impacting in front of them. Malcolm again.
We get that first shot of the mysterious blue carnivore that we've been discussing.
Which I still...
Another shot. Sorry?
I still reckon that's probably not completed CG. Or maybe maybe deliberately that colour just to throw people off or something.
Yeah, but we get another shot of it. A creature possibly similar, and it looks like it's the same creature that's and it's running alongside the gyrosphere before a lava bomb smacks into it, and it almost looks like a Metrocanthosaurus.
Well, also because 2 different scenes probably doesn't help, but it's also been suggested that maybe there's more than one of them.
Oh, yeah, possibly. It's a possibility.
Just because you sort of had that one chasing the herd earlier, then it's been able to catch up. But then the gyropheres aren't that quick anyway, even though it is going downhill, so...
Well, I also noticed that his tongue is blue, like a parrot's. That's interesting.
Yep. And yeah, it's good, nice having a little bit of different colour in there. Which might sort of lead to where they'll sourcing DNA for it and that.
Yeah.
And that lighter coloured scheme definitely sort of suggests possibly hybrid anyway, but now we get another second line from Malcolm. Life breaks free. So he said life cannot be contained, life breaks free as this stampedes all these herds running down the hill, down the valley away from the eruption. And then, as you said, we got that carnivore sort of running alongside the gyrosphere, and a lava bomb, I'm going to say, impacts beside it and sort of blows it away, because if it hit it and its head, it'd just sort of bury it in the ground where it stands.
Yeah.
They've got some force when they fall out of the sky, but it sort of rolls away here, and the gyrosphere is allowed to continue on.
Mm-hmm.
And then Malcolm's third line, life finds a way, which isn't the Jurassic Park line. It's been butchered. Oh, it's been shortened a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't. I could see this voiceover happening in the trailer as the I-Rex is coming out through the gate and then sniffing for Owen underneath the car. The life isn't contained here unless they're implying that they're jumping in the water here and going to swim away because now their home's no good. I don't. Yeah, like the life isn't breaking free here, unless he means the life of Earth, like the volcano. But did InGen have the volcano contained? Well, there's still a lot of theories going around that all that underground stuff is the geothermal plant, and by tapping into that volcanic power source, they've done it, and that's why this is erupting now. But again, this could all mean something or mean nothing when we get to the final film. But we cut to black, and then we come back on a high ridge coastline, and we got a whole lot of species of animals here running towards the cliff. Got Bryce looking back behind the gyrosphere, and then we get Pratt trying to do his best Tom Cruise impression, outrunning a pyroclastic cloud. And
I will say that looking at the different types of dinosaurs that we have here on this cliff, looks like that we have another Carnotaurus, Ankylosaurus, Triceratops, Apatosaurus, Stegosaurus, of course, all returning from Jurassic World. But it also looks like there's Brachiosaurus kind of running from the flow as well.
Oh, it's not going to be able to run that fast. It's the first one to go, unfortunately. Although we see one fall in the water here, although it might be the Apatosaur.
Yeah, it was an Apatosaurus that fell in the water.
Yeah, it's just sad. They're all, like, you see some sort of stop at the cliff's edge, some just keep on running. Like an Ankylosaur sort of stops there and turns last minute, but its back legs go over and it sort of scrambles and then falls into the water as well, and you just got this black cloud.
Yeah, same
racing.
with the Stegosaurus here too.
Yeah, you got this black cloud sort of racing towards the cliff's edge. And so those pyroclastic clouds, they're sort of superheated energy and smoke that's been released by the volcano. It's pretty much a death sentence if that gets you. And then we cut to the gyrosphere, goes flying over the cliff and lands in the ocean. And we get an underwater shot of it plunging into the water, and then you get several animals sort of fall into the water all around it. And it sort of starts drifting back up towards the surface. Now, I can only think this is the scene we got from the behind-the-scenes trailer where it's in the water and Chris dives in.
Yeah, that's what I think as well.
Because I don't see him having two scenes of the gyrosphere in the water. It seems a bit repetitive. But then another interesting thing, again, trying to link these scenes together. Bryce and Justice were in the gyrosphere. We got scenes of Chris beside it, helping out where he can, whether he's, and assumably he's just dived off the cliff to escape the cloud and land in the water beside it. The last stuff shot at Hawaii was Chris and Bryce getting washed up on a beach. Yet there was no Justice there, so I wonder if there's going to be a boat or something to pick them up, or how this all sort of continues on, where it fits.
That's a good question. You're right.
Yeah. Because again, this is, well, presumably this stuff's going to be the main eruption's going to be the set piece in the middle. I.e. the trailer sequence and the Tyrannosaur escape sequence, so all this stuff leads up to this scene here, but then we cut to black and we get that same logo come back up again.
Yeah.
Which I'm not real happy about. One other gripe I'll get to, especially in these last few scenes we get. You've got that slow Jurassic theme, that na 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 playing, but it's really drawn out, and it's more.
Yeah.
Every time I hear it, I keep on thinking. I put my little finger to my mouth as a Doctor Evil joke or something. I don't like that note. Those couple of notes just being repeated every time something happens on screen. I'm really worried about Giacchino's score for this, because if they're gonna try and go for that darker Lost World feel, I was not a fan of the Lost World theme in Jurassic World, and I don't really want them to. I'm not going to say butcher, but use here.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It deserves its own score, but then one interesting thing on the latest, or on Justice League that just come out, Danny Elfman come out with Justice League and sort of, he said in an interview, these movies are always rebooting all the time and they keep on changing the scores. The one thing that doesn't need to change is the score from other films, like from the originals, and he used a lot of that 89 Batman stuff in Justice League and stuff like that, and it's sort of one thing that's sort of
used in Justice League, I want to say the original Superman theme. It was short and sweet, but it was there.
Yeah, because it's still, yes, it's someone else playing him and it's a different story, but it's still that character. So you're assigning the score to the character and not the film they're in. So it was just interesting you said that, and then here we're sort of, whether we're going to get cues from The Lost World, or like one of the biggest gripes people have, or I have, with the Jurassic Park 3 score is the fact that the Jurassic Park theme's used for every single moment of excitement or every single moment of being triumphant.
Yeah.
And it's just really overplayed, but it is that score, and it's nice to have on screen, so... but yeah, just even the scoring for the whole thing, you started with that jukebox and then you had nothing. Whenever people are talking, there's no score, and then it sort of picks up, you get that standard trailer drum beat, or drums playing that, yeah. That was probably my biggest problem with it. That was probably my biggest problem with it, just not having a decent bit of music to accompany it, to really get the suspense up.
The other thing is Giacchino might not have the final score ready.
Well, there's that, and 9 times out of 10, trailer music doesn't appear on the score anyway.
Yeah.
Because I'd really love that music that plays for the Lost World trailer, but it's sort of very Brockheimer Pirates of the Caribbean sort of stuff that's been reused hundreds of times. I'm sure it's on a score that come out for a film later on, but yeah. What about you, Dave? What's something?
Honestly, I think it looks awesome. I'm excited. It's excited me. I don't think I've gone from apathy to anticipation so quickly in my life.
Even something simple like just seeing all these new varieties of animals, and knowing or hoping Mattel are going to give us at least one version of each one. Especially the new characters like the Baryonyx, Indoraptor, and maybe some of the other carnivores as well. We might get a decent Rex as well this time. So, but yeah, just all the stuff on, again, this trailer's all on island before they leave, but generally I do like what I'm seeing.
I do too, same.
I'm just, again, it's small questions, is okay, you're there getting all these animals, yet we only see 2 personnel carriers with about 12 people. Like, I don't know what this Save the Dinosaurs group, how big they are, if they've got the financial clout presumably is coming from Lockwood, but it's almost the same questions as the Lost World. InGen's bringing 5 jeeps and a cage in by helicopter, and all of a sudden they've got all this stuff and being able to do all these things as well. But again, I'm sure that's going to be answered in the film.
Well, the thing is, in Jurassic World, I had like a lot of kind of like nervous questions not questions, but nervousness about some of the plot points. And I'm still not exactly sure if I'm satisfied with some of the stuff we got, like the quote-unquote talking moment between the Raptor Squad and the Indominus Rex. That was a really sore point for me.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt I'll ever be okay with it. But I feel none of that for Fallen Kingdom. I feel like Bayona is the guy that he's making the movie I want to see, and that he's basically in Bayona I trust.
Yeah.
Really.
Yep. Yep. And I'll just sort of mirror some comments I've seen online where the look, the feel, what he's contributing does look and feel good. I'm just worried it's still Colin's script. I'm sure Bayona would have had some liberties on it, but the general story would have stayed the same. The whole rescuing animals off the island to save their life, whether it's rescuing them because there are species of animals there they should be saved or they shouldn't be saved, raises an interesting question. That's if they're there to be saved to save the species or to save the dinosaurs, does that mean that there's no longer any animals on Sauna and these are the last of their kind? Because to take these animals from Nublar to Sauna, you're introducing, as we've said before, you're introducing park animals to animals that have been wild for years. I don't know if they've thought that hard about it. Again, we don't know anything about the film apart from what we've seen on screen and a couple of leaks. So it's just all these little questions. It's going to be the same problem I had with Jurassic World. I'll have all these questions and some of them unanswered, and I'll be all sour and pouty in my room. Yeah. So as long as some of the stuff's addressed, I'll be happy. But no, it looks good. There was one other TV spot that sort of come out just after as well, with a shot of Lockwood's cane dropping, and it shatters across the ground, presumably in the mansion. Some have suggested this is probably where he meets his demise. I wouldn't be upset if the villain of this movie lives.
Honestly, I'm not sure if I would be either. But I mean, because from the sounds of what will happen is that he's going to have like a turnaround moment, like Hammond did, where he realizes his mistake and he hopes that he can amend it somehow, but this time he won't be able to amend it. The dinosaurs will be loose, everybody, and they won't be able to do anything about it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, so maybe he's throwing down the cane to say, no, I'm letting go of the past. The gripe I had with Hammond or whatever else, and my real focus is my granddaughter that's currently being chased around the mansion or what have you. Yeah. I didn't write any more notes on it, so I don't even know what happens the rest of the trailer.
I was just curious. I mean, because you did bring up that it was possibly made of glass, but then of course amber can shatter. You know.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it would shatter like glass, but I remember I had an obsidian, which is like a volcanic glass. It was an arrowhead, and it was really, I liked it a lot, but I ended up it fell out of my hand and hit a hardwood floor and shattered in like a million pieces.
Yeah, I posted in one of the groups about it on Facebook, and one member on there said he had some specimens on his shelf and they fell. Luckily, it sort of fell into shards, so he could sort of sit it back together. But yeah, not a good sign. But I'm sure we might get one or two more TV spots between now and February, but apart from that, it's going to be all toys now, and what our Ironhead do. Because the other uncertainty I've got with Colin doing the script is in the marketing post, or might have been during Jurassic World, there was a lot of the sequel being made to be like Grant's line from the dinner scene, where this seems to have sort of skewed away from that a little bit, and even he was saying, imagine dinosaurs open source and Apple versus Macintosh and stuff like this. All that, none of that, I don't see any of that in any of these trailers at all.
No, I'd have to say that probably Jurassic World, I would say next to Jurassic World after Jurassic Park 3 is the least scientific of the Jurassic Park movies. And I'm not even sure about that because there really seems to be, I mean, there's like no science at all in Jurassic World. And even then, Jurassic Park 3 had some science.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, even if it was very wrong and erroneous, it was still there.
Yeah.
And these Jurassic World movies just don't seem to have that same kind of science background in them that Michael Crichton introduced into the franchise. You know?
Yeah.
And so I think that is my biggest worry about these Jurassic World movies is the dialogue. Because I didn't really care for the dialogue in Jurassic World.
Yeah. Yep. And I wonder if perhaps something's happened with Universal after Colin was let go from Star Wars, if they've sort of had a look at the situation and gone, okay, we need to change a couple of things here and there, or what sort of happened. It's sort of, by the time we get to the release, it'll be fine, but I'd also find it weird that Colin's the one sort of pushing all the advertising that we're Bayonne as the director. Yeah, sure enough, Spielberg's executive producer. What's Colin? He'd be executive producer as well on this, I'd assume, unless he's co-director. I just find...
No, he's only executive producer as far as I know.
Yeah, so yeah, I just found...
and also writer. Him and Derek Connolly did write it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right, yeah. So, I don't know, because there's a lot of yays and nays when Colin left Star Wars, so it's just to have him in front of the marketing campaign at the moment as well. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I think generally across the fandom, there's these two trailers and the teasers we've got have been pretty well received, and everyone's excited for what's coming. The beginning of the end. All right, so that's been a long one.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to bring up about the trailers before we head to bed?
No, I think we're good.
All right. As again, anything that we might bring up later on, we can talk about in future minutes. No minutes 73 and 74 this week. They'll be next week with Dita's demise. But until then, it's time for us to get out of here.
Yeah, well, it's been 2 hours, so but that's 2 hours well spent.
Agreed.
All right, guys, let's get the hell out of here.
Contact details are on the website, thelostworldminute.com. You can email feedback to thelostworldminute@gmail.com, Facebook, The Lost World Minute, Twitter @thelostworldminute, and Instagram, The Lost World Minute.
Easy to remember.
Yeah, very easy to remember. David, thank you for joining me for this record.
You're welcome.
And we'll be back. I've been Brad.
I'm Dave.
And we'll talk to you all later. Goodbye.
Talk to you later.
Bye.
It is absolutely imperative that we work with the Costa Rican Department of Biological Preserves to establish a set of rules for the preservation and isolation of that island. These creatures require our absence to survive, not our help. And if we could only step aside and trust in nature, life will find a way.